All right, this is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We have a very special treat for you today. I was recently at the Raw Spirit Festival down in Prescott, Arizona. Gave basically an hour-long talk all about coconuts, also sharing my story and other really interesting and useful knowledge, and I'm putting them up here on YouTube. So this is part 1 of 4, and this first part I'm going to talk about how I got into raw foods, why I got into raw foods, and how raw foods has helped my complement immune deficiency, which is what I was diagnosed with. So let's go to that clip. I got into raw foods because I had a life-threatening illness. Just after I had graduated from college, I got what's called spinal meningitis. Wow. So many people that know what that is, they know that it's a very bad thing to have. Basically, I had flu-like symptoms. I got admitted to the hospital. I basically passed out. I woke up in intensive care. And my whole reality at that point in my life was, you get sick, you go to the doctors. They make you better, then you go home, right? Because as a child, my dad would take us to the doctors, we'd have a cold or flu, we'd go there, we'd get some prescriptions, or we wouldn't, and we'd go home and we'd get better. So that was like the whole mental model I had. So this time, I was in the intensive care, I was passed out, I woke up. They had to do a spinal tap, which hurts really, really, really bad. It's something really terrible. I woke up and I said, well, hey doc, when am I going to be out of here? And then he gave me the news that nobody wants to hear at any age. He said, you might not make it out of here alive. You have spinal meningitis, it's a viral version. We can't give you antibodies, we can't do anything for you. And I'm like, holy crap, this is not cool. Here I am, early 20s, I've never fallen in love, never made the $1 million, never got, the family, the wife, or kids, or anything. And here I was, possibly at the end of my life, right after I graduated college, with my full life ahead of me. So that was not a fun place to be, especially in your, early 20s, or at any age, with even millionaires get in the hospital and the doctors tell them they might not make it out alive, And even if I had $1 million, I couldn't write the check, Mr. Doctor, $1 million, do not cash unless I walk out of here. It would have done me no good. So then I thought about things at the hospital and thought, man, even if I had $1 million or my nice Corvette Stingray with T-tops, what good would it do me right now, in this instant? Because I would still be in the hospital with all the money, and you can't take all the money in the world with you. You can't take anything with you. Like, holy crap. Then I thought, like, man, what is the most important thing to me right now? And guess what it was? Getting better. Yeah, getting better, or my health was the most important thing. And there's that saying, health is your greatest wealth, and I don't know, a lot of alternative, practitioners say that and stuff, and people just don't take it to heart. They just say it, they think they're, but yet on an everyday basis, people compromise their health in many ways. I mean, food is only one way to compromise your health. Not getting enough sleep is another way to compromise your health. And the way that most people compromise their health almost every day is using their cell phone. Your cell phone compromises your health because it's drastic amounts of radiation hit the cell tower 3 miles away. It's a lot of radio frequency and radiation right near your head. And in studies in Europe, they show that it does cause higher incidences of cancer. And here in the US, just like smoking was in the 50s, debonair and fun and cool, and being on a cell phone's cool, and but they knew back then, and they were covering it up, that cigarettes cause cancer. And now every cigarette package says, may cause cancer. And mark my words, one day, this shit's gonna come out and people are gonna be told that, on cell phone packages or on the cell phone it says may cause cancer. But people do that because they value convenience or connecting with others, guess what, over their health. So I encourage everybody to really take their health seriously. And everything that I've learned about raw foods, I got into raw foods not because I wanted to, not because I was a vegan, not because I needed to lose weight, not because I was a raw food chef in the real world and I wanted to break into raw chefing and break into some new industry, not because I wanted to save the planet and grow my food in my front yard, not for none of those reasons. And those are all great reasons if you're doing it for one of those reasons, but I all would urge everybody to consider their health when they're doing raw foods and when they're just living their life. I mean, there's talk, I go to a lot of people's houses that are eating raw foods, but then I see with toxic cleaners underneath their sink. I try to do the best I can in my life and minimize all the toxins and things because I am fairly sensitive to toxins in my life. So if I go out to a restaurant, which is almost non-existent because I don't even eat out, very rarely, maybe once a month if I'm lucky at a raw restaurant if I'm traveling. But if I eat like non-organic lettuce, I'll break out in a rash. And that's my body basically getting rid of the toxins in the pesticide that was in the lettuce. So I'm hypersensitive to things. And like if somebody uses a cell phone next to me on the airplane, I don't even gotta like look. I mean, say somebody's behind me using it, my head will start to hurt without even me seeing them do it. I mean, because our bodies give us messages and tell us, like, you punch your arm, it hurts, and your body's like, man, that hurts. And then that's your signal, hey, don't do that again. You know, when I was a child, the funnest thing I did was I saw my grandparents, they smoked. And we'd go in my car, my parents' car, my parents left me in the car, and they had to go and run inside to get something, and I pushed the cigarette lighter in, it popped out, it was bright red, and then I put it on my tongue because I saw my grandparents do that. And it only took one time to burn brick out of my tongue before I knew that I better not do that again. But people cause harm to their bodies all the time. Maybe they're not sensitive to, you know, getting the pain or reacting to the non-organic lettuce. So I'd encourage everybody to, you know, eat what I consider a healthy raw foods diet. And what that is, in my opinion, is we want to eat the majority of our foods, basically fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. You know, we want to forget about all the packaged foods, because what the packaged foods basically propels us to do, it propels us to live in the old school model. And the old school model is we package all this food, you buy packaged food that could sit on the shelf for a long time, and we consume it, and the people that are making it make profit, and you know it's a detriment to your health. If we look out to nature, and I often look to nature for answers, if we look out to nature to birds and bees and animals, I mean, they're not buying and eating things out of packages. If an animal's here, a giraffe, you know, it's just sitting and eating pretty much for the most part just one tree at one time until it's full, then it stops. I mean, if it's a carnivore, then it's of course going to kill an animal fresh, eat it fresh unless you're a scavenger. But all the animals eat things off trees and plants that are still alive. They haven't been refrigerated. So we need to get rid of our refrigerators and eat more fresh foods. I encourage everybody to have a front yard garden or a garden in their apartment, in their patio, however they can. My latest goal now is to teach people how to grow food, because I'm still involved in eat 99.999% raw foods for the last 15 years, but now I want to reach more of a mainstream audience, and the way I can do that is to basically getting people inspired to grow their own food. And when they're growing their own food, guess what? If you're growing it, you're going to be eating it too, whether it's raw or cooked. And I teach on my web channel that I don't actually say that I'm a raw foodist. I show them how to prepare all the foods that I grow raw and make it taste really delicious. So I'll hand these around.
Can you back up?
Sure.
And go back to when you were in the hospital and how the raw food helped you?
Sure. Okay, so when I was in the hospital, the raw food didn't actually even help me at all, because at that point it was too late. So the only thing that helped me at that point in my life is higher power. Whatever forces, if you believe in a higher power, God or whatever, that is why I'm still here today. And I was given this second chance at life for a reason, and it wasn't to make $1 million like we're all like kind of taught to do in our society and all this kind of stuff, you know. And I believe it's to help people. So that's why I do what I do. I started my first website in 1997, rawfoods.com, to share with people the message about raw foods. I got started in raw foods in 1995. And my total aspect is to do it for the health aspect, because raw food didn't save my life at that point. But what happened when I exited the hospital and was leaving the hospital, the doctor said I got the spinal meningitis because he said what I had was complement immune deficiency. So what that means in layman's terms, it means I have defective genes that basically give me a chronically weak immune system. So that means that I was more susceptible to picking up any disease than the average person. So like if you saw the movie in the 70s, that Boy in the Bubble movie, like that kid had to live in a bubble or else he would get sick and stuff and it'd be fatal. I wasn't like that extreme, but I was probably somewhere in the middle between the average person that, your family members in your family may have a cold or the flu, but yet you don't get sick. That's because we all have immune systems, but my immune system's not strong enough to fight off that cold or flu, and I would be the one to get sick, because the doctors told me that many people carry around meningitis, but they're just not afflicted with it. Because I had a chronically weak immune system, I was. So then he wanted to give me like some injections to, basically boost my immune system. And at that point I wasn't really buying it, and I could give a whole half-hour, 45-minute talk on just my story, but I'm trying to condense it because I'm supposed to be talking about coconuts. So I had a chronically weak immune system. They blamed on my genes, and I learned that basically by eating raw foods and juicing and eating fresh foods, I could build my immune system. So at that point, I basically got on juicing for 6 months. Then I did cleansing, colon cleansing, and then I basically went all raw, and I never looked back. And my motivation is another thing I like to talk about is everybody in here should have a reason, and a strong reason, to do raw foods. So my reason was either I eat raw or I don't live.
It's a good reason.
Yeah. So when you have that reason, you're just going to do it, man, whatever it takes.
Technically, everyone has that reason.
Well, I mean, people smoke every day, and people know smoking causes cancer, but they smoke because they enjoy it. Maybe you enjoy food more than wanting to live. I mean, I want to live, especially when I almost lost my life at a young age. And I hadn't experienced many things in life that I really wanted to experience, and it was being taken away from me. So that wasn't fun at all. So the basic goal of the sharing my story was that I got into raw foods path for the health benefits specifically, and so my research over the last 15 years has been, and I always try to constantly improve, so I use this method called CANAI, C-A-N-A-I, and it's constant and never-ending improvement. So whatever I do in my life today, I always try to improve what I'm doing tomorrow. I could find a more efficient way to open coconuts. I could, find a way to grow more greens and grow more food in my front yard. I could, find a way to be healthier, and I constantly do that. So I encourage everybody also to improve what they're doing in their diet. So the 15 years that I've been doing this, basically it's led me to eating very simply fresh fruits and vegetables, and basically growing my own food has been my latest plateau thing. To get the highest quality food, I need to do it myself, because nobody's going to do it as good as me. So I have a website that has over 300 videos. If you got my handout, it's growingyourgreens.com. So I show you how I took a front lawn and converted it into raised beds and grow 90 to 95% of my vegetables. There's certain vegetables I don't grow because it's just easier and cheaper to buy, such as carrots, which I don't actually eat too often. Celery is also challenging to grow, so I tend to buy it. But if I have other things growing, then I just won't even buy it. I'll just eat what I have, because I'd rather eat that anyways. And I do shop at the farmer's market. I don't have enough land yet to grow enough of my fruits, and I hope one day soon to have a farm where I'm growing all my food. One day that'd be the best thing. So thank you for watching part 1 of 4 parts on, this is my coconut presentation I gave at Raw Spirit Festival 2010 in Prescott, Arizona. Once again, this is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. Check the sidebar for part 2.